We are back in the studio / home office. Welcome to the Morning Joe. I am Dr. Brad Dieter, the current COO of Macros Inc. I say current because tomorrow I may change my title to Chief Wizardry or Chief Sorcerer at Macros Inc. You never know. I just might change it up. So welcome to the Morning Joe. This is the show where we drink coffee. We review coffee every time we have a new roast. We support local coffee roasters, and we give you guys the inside scoop into some updates, what's going on with Macros Inc. And we often answer questions. Sometimes we answer career advice questions. Sometimes we answer nutrition questions. Sometimes we answer questions about the universe. Today, you may see a guest appearance by one of my two dogs who's in here chewing on something in my office. We probably shouldn't be chewing on, but that's what you get with a 7-month-old puppy. Today's show is brought to you by Pilcrow Coffee. Pilcrow Coffee, I believe, is based out of Milwaukee. They are a sponsor of today's show. Unbeknownst to them, we're giving them some free publicity because they are related to Macros Inc. through a very good friend and longtime client who is involved in their project. So go to pilcrowcoffee.com. They have some really awesome merch too. Like they have coffee glassware, travel tumblers. I may actually see if I can buy one of their tumblers today because they're that cool. So I'll go visit Pilcrow Coffee. That's PILCROW coffee.com. Let's move on to today's agenda. So new blog articles. We have assembled a blog team, kind of like the Avengers. In fact, when I was trying to assemble our blog team, I actually sent out assembling the blog Avengers. That was the subject line of the email I sent out. So we have a bunch of articles in the queue that I am delinquent in editing that I need to get to today. Yesterday was about 9 hours of meetings, so I didn't quite get to all the editing I needed to. But we should get those edited and out the door by early next week. So next week, you guys should have somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 4 new articles to read on the macrosinc.net website. So if you go to macrosinc.net, you can find all of our blogs, all of our articles, or if you go to NutriWiki.org, some of them will be on there. So keep your eyes peeled, keep your ears peeled, and there should be some new blogs dropping very soon. We've wrapped up our media and marketing intern interviews. It took a little bit longer than expected, but we should be making announcements on that intern update very soon. And then we will update the job board because we have now hired our executive assistant. We will hire our intern here in the next few days. And then we will be updating. We'll have a few more positions open with the company. We are still currently actively hiring coaches. So if you would like to become a coach with Macros Inc., go to macrosinc.net/become a coach. We are in the hiring process. We've onboarded a few people this week. We'll onboard a few more next week. And then we will onboard a few weeks after that. So go ahead and apply. If you have applied for a position and you have not heard back, shoot me an email, brad.dieter@macrosinc.net. It is entirely possible. The way that our job applications are coming in, they all come in a single email thread, and you guys know how that works. Sometimes things just get missed. So if you have not heard back or you have not heard an adequate response, please email me, brad.dieter@macrosinc.net. New podcasts. We have a bunch of new podcasts that should be dropping. I need to get them edited and uploaded today. So one should drop today, probably later this morning. Another one should drop Saturday, Monday, Wednesday. So you should have 4 in the next 6 to 7 days. So go subscribe, go to iTunes, go to Spotify, subscribe. If you want to help us donate $10,000 to research regarding Alzheimer's, please go to macrosinc.net/YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So when we get 100,000 subscribers, we're going to be making a $10,000 donation. So that's on the agenda. I do have a few questions that I'm going to answer here. So somebody asked me a question yesterday that I'm going to follow up today, and they asked it again today. So if a master's of science in nutrition is worth the time, if money is not an issue, or would you recommend doing certifications alone to become a good nutrition coach? So there's a few answers here. And take all of this with whatever grain of salt you would like. Just remember, my perspective is maybe a little bit biased because I do have a master's, an MS, and a PhD degree in this field. I'm a big believer of, if you have the means to do so, it never hurts to be educated formally. A lot of times those credentials will open doors that they would not otherwise, right? Even sometimes your level of knowledge without those degrees may be the same as your level of knowledge with those degrees. But those degrees definitely open doors that otherwise are generally closed. So I'm a big believer of, if you have the ability and you have the wherewithal and you have the tenacity to go after those things, it doesn't hurt to have them. Now, do you need those to be a good nutrition coach? No. I would say some of the best coaches that I have ever come in contact with, that I've ever hired, that I've ever been coached by, are people who do not have degrees in this field. They have the requisite certifications, because you really do need some sort of certification, from a just making sure you have all the basics, that you don't overlook things. And then from an insurance perspective, right, you need to have some sort of insurance, and generally it requires a certification to do that. So you do not need a degree to be a good nutrition coach, but those degrees are never going to hurt you unless you have to take out huge financial debt. If you have to take on huge financial debt to get those degrees, like if you pay $80,000 for a master's in nutrition, and you want to go be a nutritionist for a medical weight loss company making 45 grand a year, that's probably not a great investment. So that would be some of my comments on that. So another question we got asked today was, is there anything like a ideal omega-3 to omega-6 ratio? Where does the research stand on the subject? So I'm going to just plant a flag and say I have some very specific thoughts on this topic. They may be completely off base, but here's my read of the literature. We know that omega-3s and omega-6s have very specific physiological effects, right? We know that they are metabolized through different metabolic pathways. Generally speaking, omega-6s are maybe a little more pro-inflammatory, and omega-3s are maybe a little more anti-inflammatory. Now, that's a very gross overgeneralization. There's a lot of steps in between: the types that you consume, the amount you consume, the overall state of your body habitus. All those things make a difference on how those things are metabolized and whether they are inflammatory or anti-inflammatory. Now, here's my read of the literature on the ratio subject. As far as I'm aware, the only real scientific literature that has tried to provide some insights into what the ideal ratio is are review papers, narrative review papers. So not systematic review papers, right? Narrative review papers are very helpful. I will cite them a lot because they provide a lot of context for people. But from a general rule of thumb, they don't give you hard evidence. So as far as I'm aware, on this topic, there's really a couple of review papers. They're all written by the same individual, Simopoulos. So we have one author writing narrative reviews, which means we don't really have a good idea of what that ideal ratio is, right? It's like we don't have a good idea of what the optimal level of vitamin D is, right? It really depends on athletic status, body habitus, race/ethnicity, primarily due to skin color, not other genetic factors, right? It's generally just the melanin in your skin, things like that. So we don't really have an ideal number, right? The ranges that people have put out there are like 1-to-1. I think just if you look at the nature of diets, it doesn't make any sense to do that. So I would say very inconclusive. There's no solid evidence to stand on from my perspective. Somebody asked, what resources would you recommend to read for a general half-hour to hour reading in regards to nutrition? Currently, I'm subscribed to Alan Aragon research reviews. So research reviews are great. James Krieger has a really good one. His is maybe more a little bit on the lifting side than the nutrition side, but I haven't read his most recent stuff, so that could be completely wrong. So if James sees this and I'm off base, I apologize. I just haven't read the most recent ones. Eric Trexler and Greg Knuckles have one called Mass with Eric Helms and Mike Zordos. That's a good one. They cover, I think, more training and as well, but I think they do cover some nutrition. I really just recommend going straight to the journal articles. You can get really good interpretations from research reviews, and I used to write a research review, and I think it's very helpful. But if you really want to kind of have a lot of the contextual information and get really good at reading research, I would just go on to PubMed and just fill out the notifications. So the topics that you're interested in, you get notified every week when new papers come out. So that would be my recommendations. So that's all we have for questions. It is 7:08 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on July 16th, 2020. We're going to be closing up shop. I have some meetings. I got to send some emails. I got to try to hire some people. I have to put some lectures together. So it's going to be a busy day here. I have to send Jay some very annoying text messages today. So that's what's going on in the House of Macros Inc. today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me at brad.dieter@macrosinc.net. And if it's regarding the show, just use the subject line, The Morning Joe, and I will make sure that you get taken care of. And with that, I am out of here. Peace out, everybody.